Men that you should not date. I want to start with something very fundamental also. Men who are married but not separated. Men who are married but not separated. Please run away from such men. Listen, I'm not saying that they're all bad. We've had like a teaching on divorce, and I've told you how that people actually go through a lot of precarious situations that put them in a position where you can make even a biblical argument for divorce. You know, we've talked about domestic abuse, and when you talk about domestic abuse, people's minds automatically just run to a husband beating his wife. You know, I've heard stories. A woman who will, just pick things to hit her husband. The man will jump from a window. I'm talking about a wealthy family, an exposed family, but the woman has a terrible temper and things like that. You know, but at the end of the day, married and separated is different from divorce. You know, like there's this guy who talks about relationship, and he's Black American. I think his name is Stefan. So, you know, he made a very, very important point. He said, when someone says, listen, I'm married, but I'm separated, just hear the first part. Just hear married. That's what you need to hear. You know, if he's very serious, let him make a commit. Let him settle whatever, you know, he had with the former person, you know, then you can now think about it and talk about it. Otherwise, no conversation. This is very important. Let me tell you this. When it comes to matters of the heart, things about relationships, sometimes we lie to ourselves. And we just think, it's not that bad. Or we think, I know this is what I should do, but he's different. Many of the things that pastors and relationship experts tell you are backed up with statistics. You know, a lot of things can go wrong. He just comes back one day and he just remembers, you know, he just has this nostalgia and remembers all that he has gone through with that first woman. And he says, you know what, I decided to make it work with her. What then are you going to do? Or, you know, I really like what I have with you, but it will be good for our children that I stay with my wife. You know, what then are you going to do? And then many times, they might even be lying. You know, they're not seeking to come out of the marriage, you know, they're just using it to while away time. A lot of things can go wrong. So please, don't listen to such a man. The second type of man I want to talk about is a man who also, you know, I talked about this regarding ladies, who's not ready for relationship. Listen, and there are many angles to this, but what I'm saying in essence is a man who gives you attention, you know, always in your space, blocking your website, you know, and all of that. In fact, the people who might be really interested in you, they're taking a step back because they see this guy all over you like a fly, you know, but he doesn't make any verbal commitment. This is especially precarious when it's someone you're also interested in and you're just waiting for him to say something. I want to say this. You see, many guys, emphasis on many guys, go for what they want. If he's not saying it, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. You know, if he's not saying it, if he has not verbally told you, listen, I want us to date, you know, either of two things. It's either he doesn't feel you're the one, but he just enjoys your company. And listen, sometimes you might be tempted to just say, yeah, he will still feel like it's tomorrow, you know, but more often than not, he's still looking for someone who meets his criteria and ticks all the boxes. And that does not mean you're not awesome. He just has maybe weird expectations or personal expectations that you don't meet, and it's supposed to be like easy peasy, okay, no problem, move on. But when you stay there, that's when you will now come on Twitter and say, there's this guy that's been on my space, now I got wedding invite. Because chances are, if the lady he has secretly been waiting for shows up, he's going to move on, you know. Or he just wants all the things that come with relationship. And this is, like I said, this is a Christian channel, so I'm not talking about sex or touching or any such thing, but he just likes the attention, you know, the friendship and all of that, the commitment, without actually having like a sense of future. You know, weird ideas. You know, weird ideas. He when he begins to tell you, let's not be particular about the names. I don't have to call you boyfriend, girlfriend. Let's just know that we have a thing going. He's trying to play with you. He's trying to play with you. Don't believe, okay? And just pull the plugs. The second type of man, or the third, right, type of man I want to talk about is the selfish man. The selfish man. And I'm not even talking about selfishness when it comes to money, because we're talking about dating. He's not your father, hey? But we can talk about that. Even though he's not your father, I think you can check for generosity at the early stages. It's also important, but if I have more time, I'm going to touch on that in better detail. But what I'm talking about here is this: when you marry, when you're dating a man who is so full of himself that he is not sensitive to your emotions, he doesn't care. He's so egocentric. And he just acts anyhow, talks anyhow. When there's a decision to be made, it's his way or nothing. He's not even open to consideration. That's not someone you want as a life partner. That's not someone. In fact, these are the kind of people who maybe spiral into abusing their partners. I'm just saying. So you might want to watch out for that. All right. I'm not talking about someone who is strong-willed. I'm talking about another extreme. It's not even open to suggestions, not open to negotiations, and he just wants his way all the time. All right. And here is one simple way you can know you have such a person, in your life. If every time there is a problem, he always sees you as the problem. Always sees you. You are the one who, they are never introspective. They never sit back to say, okay, this is what I did wrong. Never. They never acknowledge that they are wrong. Never. They never apologize. Please run away from such a person. Otherwise, you'll find that you'll be dating yourself, and you're just going to be in an abusive situation. Even if it's not physical, it's going to be emotional abuse. So you want to run away from such a person. The next person that you should run away from is someone who is just a dreamer. He never wants to do anything. He always has, lofty ideas of things he would do, things he would become, things, but when you look at the person's track record, you can't see any pattern of consistency. So in the last 3 years, he has changed jobs 4 times, and in fact, not just changing jobs, because of course it's possible for you to get better jobs and all of that. But what I'm saying is, he will start something, give up, and then just say, at the age of 35, I think my calling is football. That's when he wants to now start a football career, and when you're trying to advise him, like, guy, he feels you're not supportive and all of that. So just dreamer. So after he tries football 2 years, he just says, I know it, it's not football, it's dancing, and things like that. Listen, especially because I believe that the biblical design is that the man of the house should be a provider, and should offer a sense of leadership for the house. The worst thing you want is to have a man in your house without a clear sense of direction, without a clear sense of, of leadership.